ask you maybe to defend why the president isn't necessarily reading his PDB when there are these types of issues that could arise.
The president does read, and he also consumes intelligence verbally. This president, I'll tell you, is the most informed person on planet Earth when it comes to the threats that we face.
Wow. That was White House Press Secretary Kayliegh McEnany defending Donald Trump on his lack of reading intelligence reports by saying that he reads the intelligence reports, which he doesn't. All right, so now look, this is ridiculous in many different ways, okay? First of all, Donald Trump is somebody who's got a very limited attention span. He's not a smart person. He gets bored easily. He doesn't read his briefings. He doesn't do any of that. Instead, he pays attention to killer maps and graphics. They had to shorten his briefings into bullet point segments with his name in it to keep his attention. He's a deeply vain and unintelligent person. Very lazy, corpulent, doesn't want to work, doesn't want to read. He just wants to go in front of his fans and talk. So the idea that, oh no, Donald Trump reads his intelligence briefings is absolutely hilarious and ridiculous. All right. So now what this whole situation is referring to is about the alleged Russian bounties in Afghanistan. So, there were intelligence reports where the Russian government was allegedly paying the Taliban, right, for bounties on American soldiers. And American soldiers have been killed in Afghanistan. Why the hell are we in Afghanistan anyway? We should get the hell out. We shouldn't even be there, right? And look, I kind of doubt the veracity of these reports. I've got my own reasons. I don't trust the CIA. I don't trust the NSA. I don't trust the FBI. Not very much anyway. For, of course, different reasons than Donald Trump. But nonetheless, that distrust is there. So, yeah, I take these reports with a grain of salt. That said, to think that Donald Trump sat down and read these reports is utterly ridiculous. So now what's even more interesting and a lot more fun is the hypocrisy, right? So McEnany comes out and says this, whereas a couple of days ago, President Trump retweeted a video of a man saying white power, right? And the defense from the White House is, well, he didn't sit and watch the video. And the defense from Ben Shapiro is even better. Watch.
President Trump, as we know, has the attention span of a gnat, right? The president of the United States, he literally will not read presidential briefings that are put on his desk. They have to put them in bullet point form, and then he doesn't even read those. He'll ask for those to be shortened. Okay, the man is not famous for sitting there and reading tomes of Winston Churchill.
That's Ben Shapiro defending Trump by saying he doesn't read. As opposed to Kayliegh McEnany, who says, well, obviously Trump reads. That's how I'm defending him. Hilarious. Absolutely. This is so good. So good. I love it. Ridiculous. All right. So anyway, let's get to some substance before we get to more fun points. But I just wanted to show you that just the difference in those defenses based on the day. I mean, Kayliegh McEnany is doing a fantastic job because her job is to go out and lie and gaslight for Trump. She's everything that he's ever wanted in a press secretary. So now let's go to the substance here. As I said before, this is about Russia, right? And this is about Donald Trump not trusting or liking our intelligence agencies, which, again, I understand. But the reason that he doesn't like it is because of the Mueller investigation, right? And look, because Trump, I know some of you are going to get mad when I say this, but I think that Donald Trump has financial interests in not making an enemy of Vladimir Putin, right? And so, yeah, does that mean that Donald Trump's in his pocket or any of the stuff that they're saying in Russiagate? No, that doesn't mean so at all. It just means I like Putin. He's loaned me money before, and so I don't want to make Putin mad, right? It's one of those things. Putin's my friend. He gives me money. And so, yeah. Now, when it comes to Donald Trump, is there likely some benefit for himself? Is he going to put himself over America. Oh, you goddamn right he will. That's what his entire presidency is about, making money off America. So, yeah, what I think that if this is true, and again, it hasn't been proven. I don't trust these intelligence agencies. But if this did turn out to be true, if we found some concrete evidence that he was letting this go, it's because there's a financial incentive for Donald Trump, or some sort of definitely not a political advantage, but some sort of monetary, I think, advantage. So that said, I'm skeptical, and I'm really kind of bummed out that there are mainstream journalists that are jumping on what essentially is stenography from these intelligence agencies. They're latching onto the reports, which haven't been verified by anybody outside the agency, who's admittedly not in favor of Donald Trump. But just because you're against Donald Trump or you don't like him, that doesn't make you an ally. It doesn't make you right. And it doesn't make what you're saying is true, even if you desperately want to use it against Donald Trump. And so to that, I say there's a lot of legitimate ways to attack Trump on stuff that we already know. And I would be very careful to take intelligence reports at face value without looking into it further. And of course, the biggest example of that is these intelligence agencies, the same ones that sold us the Iraq War, which was an unmitigated disaster. There were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And so a lot of these intelligence agencies have been agitating for wars in the Middle East. And they're part of the military-industrial complex. Doesn't mean I'm with Trump on this issue. It just means that I view everybody with suspicion because everybody's got their own monetary motives at play. That said, let's go into social media. They had a little bit of fun with this. One person says, consuming intelligence verbally is what stoners called snacking on edibles and talking horse shit. Explains a lot, to be fair. Well, I mean, true. Another one says, I'm pretty sure that consuming intelligence verbally can cause high blood pressure and other secondary infections. Please check with your doctor before beginning a course of verbal intelligence. Nice. Another one says, nothing hammers home the White House talking point that Joe Biden is old and confused, quite like insisting that their guy knows how to read. This is a press briefing, by the way, about whether or not the president can read and does read. How low is the bar at this point? It's got to be underground at this point. Way underground. Another one says, how can she not burst out laughing when she says Donald Trump is the most informed person on earth? Well, Kayliegh McEnany has trained very, very hard in order to do that, to be able to spew that kind of bullshit without being able to crack a smile or look. I know I couldn't do it. Yeah, let me be Trump's press secretary for a day. I will laugh my ass off. It would be great. Fun times. And then another says, the only way Trump would consume intelligence is if his staff told him it was Haagen-Dazs. That's to be fair, that's a little body shaming, and I don't approve of that. But still fun. Another says, can you imagine being calling a press conference in 1 hour with the main talking point of being the president does read? And the rest is one more. Hearing he could also drink from a glass, but unconfirmed at this point. Yeah, man, look, I don't know what the whole thing is about Donald Trump not being able to drink from a glass. The whole thing is just pretty ridiculous. I'm just saying. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. and you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.